Thanks everyone for joining today. My name is Eric Reichel. I'm the Vice President of Customer Success North America for IntelligenceBank, and it's great to see so many familiar names joining us today. On behalf of IntelligenceBank, I'd like to welcome everyone to the IntelligenceBank Virtual Summit. This event is to celebrate our clients and our friends and to talk about the future of IntelligenceBank with the aim of helping you get the most out of your investment and work with us. Today's agenda, we're going to start, our CEO, Tessa Court, is going to give you a little keynote on sort of our vision of IntelligenceBank. And then we're going to hand it off to some of our customers to share a little bit about their experiences. Presley Brown-Lee from CKA Restaurants with Susie Fountain will do a conversation, and then we'll have a panel conversation with two additional customers, Gerber and Wondros, and our partner Salt Flats, to talk a little bit more about just the MarTech space and where things are going and how people are getting the most value out of the different products in their stack. And then we'll wrap up today with an introduction to IntelligenceBank's new product bundles. Some of you may have heard about those if you've had a renewal recently, and for those of you that haven't, we'll give you a little preview of that. And then we'll wrap up with a sneak preview of a few of our new features that the IntelligenceBank technical team has been working on and we plan to release to you in 2023. Our goal today is to have you hear directly from other customers about unique use cases of IntelligenceBank and share with you insights of where IntelligenceBank is going in 2023. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Tessa Court, the CEO and driving force behind IntelligenceBank, to share with you a little bit about our vision.
Great, thanks so much, Eric. And yeah, really happy to be with you all today. I guess first and foremost, in MarTech and in, I guess the world that we all live in, I guess as marketers working with technology and trying to get great creative out the door kind of on a daily basis. Just really our, I guess, spin on where IntelligenceBank is and where we're kind of spending time and effort from a product perspective is really trying to transform the marketing operations function by bridging the gap between efficiency, compliance, and performance. So when we talk about efficiency, it's about how do you guys get great work out the door really quickly? How do you manage brand compliance in a self-serve manner so you're not inundated with admin time? So all of those things is really, really important. And then I guess the way that we see the market specifically is around compliance is becoming more and more a tier one operating issue. So for a lot of FMCG brands, travel brands, QSR, compliance, whether it's with franchisees or just brand compliance, is super important. But then also if you're in a regulated industry, such as healthcare or financial services, you have regulators, breathing down everyone's neck a little bit, I guess, from ensuring that the marketing output, I guess, complies from a regulatory environment perspective. And then as we all experience every day, the digital content and media is exploding. So how do we kind of bring those two worlds together and kind of help people be their, system of record and get things out the door quickly is kind of why we're here. And then obviously measuring that performance. So that's just kind of some context of, everything that we do at IntelligenceBank, in addition to, I guess, the stock standard features that you would expect in our tools. So I guess on the next slide, when we talk a little bit about IntelligenceBank just as a company really, really quickly. So I founded IntelligenceBank just over 13 years ago. My background, I was a CMO of a company. I have an agency background. And I guess, what drove the innovation around IntelligenceBank is, creating the product I always wanted as somebody running a global sales and marketing team back in the day. We have around 500 customers, some great foundation customers such as KFC, Latin America, Baptist Health, and our very first customer we've ever signed, Suncorp, is still with us today, which is something I'm really proud of and really happy about. About a year and a half ago, we did receive investment from a private equity firm in Kansas City called 5 Elms, and it's been really great working with them because they really share our passion around being product led and making sure that our product is a reflection of what our customers need and want, and then we're just using a lot of that investment to invest into product, which we'll see a little bit later. We do have 3 offices. So our headquarters is in Melbourne, Australia. where our dev team sits, as well as the sales and CS capability. But then also we have, our head office in the US is in Irvine, and we do have an office in Canada as well, with people peppered over the US as well. And I guess just an overview, we've got almost 1 million users across 55 countries. So we are well and truly global, and we're looking forward to ring the bell when we do hit, 1 million active users. So we just want to thank you also for your support as customers, kind of as we grow and develop the product. So some of you are in different, using Intelligence Bank in different ways, but we really have 3 tiers of capability that kind of build on each other. So obviously at the heart of what we do is enterprise digital asset management, really helping clients with managing the chaos of content management, which it is today as digital media is exploding. So whether it's in-app, or we have several clients using our application for headless, meaning, the end user is an API. That's really the heart of what we do is in DAM. But on top of that is really helping people with brand governance and with their brand guidelines, and really creating a self-serve capability where people can come in and get their creative templates or brand guidelines. And really the idea there is to reduce admin time by about 20 or 30%. So I don't think anybody got a degree in marketing to send out the logo, 5,000 times. So that's really where our brand hub fits in. And then last but not least is really our premier product, which is marketing operations, which combines DAM and brand hub with creative briefs, ROI reporting, and end-to-end campaign management. And we've done some pretty interesting things around being able to manage the entire, campaign right within a brief, including proofing and approvals and things like that too. So that hopefully gives everyone some context about what we're talking about today. And we'll talk a little bit about each of these use cases as we hear from our customers too. So one of the things that we think about a lot at Intelligence Bank is, the emergence of agile into marketing. So many of our clients have gone agile, which sometimes is a blessing, sometimes it's a curse, depending on the size of the organization. But when marketing gets more decentralized due to, corporate structures and how people want to work with, planning, estimating, and then automating the distribution of creative, it's really important that there is a system of record behind that to kind of help people along. And unlike software development, where there is a true black and white, does something work or not? As we all know, marketing is messy, branding is sometimes messy, there are gray areas. So having a system to kind of provide that backbone to agile marketing is really, really important. And so as we develop our product and as we think about how we help clients best, we are thinking about it in that context of, the planning, the automation, the efficiency, and that feedback loop to help support, that system as well. So that's just something to mention. And we do have a really interesting white paper that's available on our website around agile marketing and how that relates to Intelligence Bank and how our clients are using our service for that too, which is quite helpful. So just overall, our clients are successful when we can reduce their time to market. For those in regulated industries, avoid fines and avoid getting sued, which is also very helpful, managing talent usage rights, or even disclaimers in advertising, for instance, helping marketers track their campaign ROI, showing cost reduction. And then one of my favorite stories, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is about how do you be a brand enabler versus the brand police as well. And that's really important in the sense that, nobody has time to, physically talk about your brand necessarily to every single person in your company or every single agency partner or every single, you might have franchisees or whoever representing your brand. So really using the technology to empower your organization to amplify what you do isn't something that's really important. And then obviously having the audit trail as well. So that's kind of an overview of some of the benefits that our clients do get. And then if we think about the next slide, as well. One of the things about Intelligence Bank, and I'll show you an example in just a minute about the importance of low code. So if we think about how software has been developed over time and going back to the 70s, it started very much around people just hacking around on computers, to the personal software revolution, to collaborative software. And really the era that we're in right now, and really just the beginning, is around makers. So it's really important. And we've thought about this, since day one, since we've, developed Intelligence Bank, is that it's important that we're API first. We're codeless in the sense that it's really easy for people to customize their interface to make the experience, the navigation, the branding theirs. So, it's great that, Intelligence Bank is out of the box, but you'll see from the different examples from our different clients that you can obviously make the interfaces yours as well. We do have a single code base, but as you do see the different clients, you'll see how very different you can make this. And then also we always cater for future flexibility as well. So we were recently named one of the top providers in the MRM space. So for our marketing operations product, which we're so excited about. And as part of that, and as part of what we're doing for the future, there's really 4 pillars of what we're doing next, I guess, in terms of product development. The first and foremost is making what we have better, improving our UX and performance all the time, expanding on our existing integrations. So we have a concept called handshakes, using our API to integrate with thousands of different apps and the rest of your MarTech stack. Also, the other concept that we're working on a lot is performance loops and compliance checks with AI. So you'll see more AI coming from us, but also as it relates to approvals and other things like that as well within the product. And then last but not least, we are going to be doing an overhaul of our workflows, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But how do we make that easy for people and make, for those who have a compliance requirement, making that simple for end users, and really thinking about the casualization of approvals that are happening where people just want to send an email or they just want to say, yeah, it's approved. And how do you track that? So those are some of the things that we are working on. And I'll hand it over to you now, Eric, to take us through the rest. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tessa. So yeah, Tessa lives in Melbourne, Australia, where I believe it's about 5:20 in the morning. So on a Saturday for that. So thanks, Tessa, for getting up early and sharing your vision for Intelligence Bank with our customers. So now we're going to move on to the showcase discussion with Intelligence Bank customer Presley Brown Lee of CKE Restaurant Holdings, and a familiar face to many of you, Susie Fountain, Senior Customer Success Manager and Team Lead here at Intelligence Bank. So I'll ask Susie and Presley to turn on their cameras and join me on this virtual stage, and I will hand it off to you, Susie.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. And Presley, thank you so much for joining us today on a Friday. So Erica gave a very brief introduction for you, but I'd love to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your team.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for inviting me. I'm always happy to try to return the favor to Intelligence Bank. I know they have made my life and my team's life very easy over the past, I guess, 4 years now, almost, we've been working together. But my name is Presley Brown Lee. I'm Associate Brand Manager for CKE Restaurants, more specifically on the international side of the business. We have a broad franchisee network of over 100 franchisees that operate over 1,000 restaurants in close to 40 countries. So if you're located here in the US, that might be a fun fact that you didn't know about Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, but we are global and we're a really prominent brand in a lot of different regions. And I started with the company in March of 2019, and believe it or not, creating our what we call our CKE Digital Library, or our DAM, it was the first project I had when I started with the company back then. So it was definitely no small task, but it really helped me learn a lot about our brand, learn about the products that we offer, and really just hit the ground running. So it's been a busy few years, to say the least.
No kidding. And fun fact to counter yours, I started at Intelligence Bank in February of 2019, and your implementation was the first one I did. So, and we made it. So clearly we did all right.
Absolutely.
That is an impressive number of franchisees, restaurants, and countries that you span. So before we get into that, then, like what it's like to serve such a wide audience, Could you tell us a little bit about how CKE was managing their assets prior to implementing IntelligenceBank? And I recognize that, you weren't there for that long before we switched, but just kind of a little bit of an overview of what it was in the before days, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, this was my first project. More specifically, it was my first really exposure to an asset library in general, both the one we held previously and the new one that we created. But even me with little experience and little know-how, I understood very quickly that the original library, I use the term library, that's a very generous term for it. What a capsule that we had was not, it was not working. It was one, externally managed by an outside agency that one didn't understand, our current product offerings, didn't understand our, brand as a whole. So not only was it external, it was pretty chaotic. You would search and you wouldn't have the capabilities that we have now on IntelligenceBank, where we can really refine our search, where we could tag assets, where we could organize and build out our assets in a really easy to follow folder structure. It was just, imagine walking into a big warehouse with no shelves and no labels, and you had to dig until you found what you were looking for. And I work for a brand that's been around for several years. So, you would look for one of our core iconic items that we have in all of our restaurants, and you would find something that was in a restaurant in the 90s that we don't even sell anymore. So it was quite the headache, and really just not user friendly. And again, it was managed outside of the company, so we didn't really have a huge say in how it was organized, how it was structured, or anything like that. And probably the most difficult point was every day we'd get into the office, open up our laptops, and have 5 to 10 emails each. I work on a really small team of just 4 of us, really 3 of us from an execution standpoint, and our inboxes would just be flooded with, hey, can you send me a picture of the crisp cuts? Hey, I need a Western bacon cheeseburger. So we'd spend 2, 3, 4 hours out of our day, out of our week, sourcing that image. If we couldn't find it, we had to reach out to the agency that managed the library, find that resource, and then send it out to the field. And like I said, we operate with global franchisees, so add in a time zone. One of our field marketing directors is located in Melbourne as well, so we've got a huge turnaround time and a time change. So just factor in all those things. It really wasn't efficient. It really wasn't helpful, and we needed a solution. So that's when we turned to IntelligenceBank.
Awesome. And yeah, I can relate to that time zone challenge being
Yeah.
something to think about a lot, because you can lose a whole day on just having like a silly question. And I will say that that's probably the #1 success criteria that we hear when customers are implementing their DAMs is, I want less emails asking for assets. Like, just, it's too much. And with the number of franchisees you guys have, I can only imagine what you were facing. So just kind of going back to that number, with such a global audience, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the challenges that were presented and that you kind of had to think through when you were setting up the DAM and when we were kind of implementing IntelligenceBank for you?
Yeah, so I will say we started from just a really kind of broad viewpoint. We wanted to understand all of our users and any challenges they may face, whether it be, the time zone, they can't get in touch with us very easily and they have questions. Also, we took into account that, not everybody is extremely technically inclined. So where we think a certain platform might be really easy to navigate, somebody else on the other side of the world might feel completely different. We also have language barriers. Like I said, we're global. We have people in Malaysia, we have people in Mexico, we have people all over. So we really tried to synchronize our experience. So no matter where you were accessing our library, no matter what time of day, no matter what type of asset you were looking for, you could really find it and find it easily, and really get on with the rest of your day. Because like Tessa mentioned in her presentation, is we want to reduce our admin time. And so if we come to them with a new platform, but they have to jump through hoops and hoops and hoops to get what they're looking for, what's it all for? So yeah, just the time zones, technical abilities, and really just self-sufficiency. Is it easy to navigate for each and every person, no matter what their level might be?
Awesome. And that's not exactly a short list or an easy list to kind of try to piece together. So with those challenges in mind, could you share a little bit about how you went about thinking through organizing your library? Because as you mentioned, when you guys came off that capsule, there was little to no structure. So you did have to sort of not even reorganize, you had to organize everything from scratch. So what sort of went into that process of figuring out how to create, you know, those tiles on your page and how to put things into some sort of structure?
Yeah. So if you'll look at the slide we have here, this is the homepage of our CKE digital library. And I guess I should start with that. First and foremost, we gave our library an identity. It's not just a dam, it's not just a capsule, which is kind of what we referred to it before. We really gave it a name and kind of a face. We branded it. You can see our brand colors, yellow, red, black. The font you see is our brand font that we use across a lot of our creative and our POP kits and stuff like that. So we made it recognizable that as soon as people got on, they were like, I'm in the right place and I know where to go from here because I have all of these tiles built out in front of me. I don't have to look really hard. I don't have to try to connect a bunch of dots. If I'm looking for core product photography, if I'm looking for a Western bacon cheeseburger, I know exactly where to go. I'm looking for a video to play in restaurant. I'm going to go on the videos folder. I need assets to put on social media. I'm going to go to the social media assets folder. Really just kind of narrowing down the room for error and understanding our audience. Like I mentioned earlier, we started broad. Our main target was assisting our franchisees, but also out in the field, we have our field employees. So our restaurant support center is based here in Nashville, but we have a lot of team members that are in Melbourne, in California, in Mexico, in Europe. So how can we target it to help them as well? And making sure that when we organize our assets, they aren't from just an internal point of view. If we have a marketing calendar that we issue globally, and then we also have regional versions. But if we organize our folders from a way that with terminology that only us internally use, how are our franchisees supposed to navigate? Or, you know, we have a global marketing calendar, but it might be different for regions that are experiencing a different season. Like in Australia, you're headed into summer and we're headed into winter. So we're going to offer different products. If we organize our files by the marketing calendar, they're not the same across the board. We're not a one size fits all type of organization because we are so diverse and so different. So really making it to where each of our users get the same experience, but it can be tailored to their needs. And so, like I said, we started with the same that mindset of how do we help our franchisees and how do we target it to them. Once we got up and running and up on our feet, we were able to add in other internal team members. Our development team now uses our library. We were able to roll out COVID protocols and COVID assets in the middle of, like you wouldn't believe, it was like, how would we have gotten this out in people's hands? Through email? No, we just send a link to the library and everybody has access to it. And then what's been the most helpful for me is we now have our agencies onboarded. So our graphic designers and our social media agency, they create this wonderful content for us. They get on our library. It's not only self-sufficient for us and our franchisees, but our agency knows how to work it after one glance at our tutorial video, and they build out a folder structure for all the content that they created for us. And I didn't spend any time out of my day getting the WeTransfer link, downloading it, building out a folder structure, hoping that I uploaded all the files right, because I'm not a graphic designer. And sometimes I get confused on a PSD file and, things like that. So really just making it a broad experience, but also finding ways to tailor it for each region.
That's awesome. And it really hits on one of our big focuses that I'm sure a lot of people on the call have heard us say over and over and over again, which is, it's all well and good if you set up the dam and it makes sense to your internal or, your marketing teams. But if the end users can't figure out where you've put things, where to go to find things, or even if they don't know what's in there, those emails are going to keep coming in and it's not going to fix it. So keeping those end users in mind and almost starting there and working backwards like you guys did is one of the things we talk about quite a lot and probably a little too much for some people. So I remember sometimes probably a little too vividly how much work went into cleaning up your assets and getting everything organized and all the work you put in. So when we're sort of discussing, data cleanup and things, I definitely tell customers like there's no point in sugarcoating it. It's going to be a lot of work, pretty unfun work at that. But that once it's done, it's, it is worth it. So it's nice to know that I haven't been telling them lies, at least about that this whole time. And so just kind of moving on from setting up the library, which, is a pretty big deal. we preach quite a lot about how a dam is a living thing. It's not a set it and forget it sort of system. What are some of the things that you've done to make sure that it stays organized, it stays updated, and it stays clean in a way?
So I think that this might be a unique situation based on your team. However, I think that for our team, it really worked out well to have one person that was just really kind of the face of the library and that was associated. So especially when you're not working in the same room as these people, let alone in the same country or the time zone, really giving them a person that they can reach out to and ask for help. So whether they want to get somebody on their team set up on the library, whether they want to create a folder that has permission set to just, for example, Middle East users or Mexico users, where they're uploading specific content that can't be used globally, they need a person to reach out to, and they need a person that knows that I'm going to send this request in and it's not going to get lost in transit, or it's not going to be passed on to the next person. So if there's somebody on your team or you have the capability to assign someone real ownership of your library, I think it's very valuable, because this platform is so great and the interface is so easy to use. However, if somebody from your company or somebody from your team is not managing it, it can be kind of daunting, especially if you have specific requests in place. And then to really make a space for those specific requests, we do, consistent meetings with the field, but we do have an annual planning meeting that we host in the spring. And I always have a creative asset update that features the CKE library, because we always have new people joining. And I have a specific slide that shows this exact homepage below. And my call out is always, okay, I'm just going to drive this home one last time. I know everybody has seen this slide before, but if you ever have any questions, if you ever have any suggestions, if you ever have any gaps on the library that you think could make your experience better, you think could make any other franchisee's experience better, let us know. We're always an open ear, and we call the library our one-stop shop. So we really want it to house all things. It is marketing led, but like I said, we invited development on. We have HR reaches out to us and asks for some of our lifestyle photography to use for open enrollment and just different pamphlets and things that they make. So it is marketing led, but just finding ways for it to expand to our cross-functional teams has really been helpful. So we always welcome that feedback and kind of just keep an open door policy where if you have any suggestions, just let us know and we'll try to make and tailor your experience on the library as best we can.
Awesome. And I love that you're regularly asking users for feedback, because, that just makes me happy. So I mentioned at the beginning that the number of franchisees that you guys have now has definitely grown since we first implemented this. Can you tell us a little bit more about your process for onboarding new users?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I checked just yesterday, and I believe our user count was up to like 380, or we're pushing 400, which is a big jump from where we started. And users do have the ability to just go on our CKE library homepage, and then they can self-register. But more times than not, they reach out to me directly, and I'll get them set up. Because when they reach out to me directly, I know where they're coming from as far as what franchisee group or what region they're coming from, and I'll go ahead on my end. This is another reason why it's really great to have a person that's designated and owning your library, because I can put them in a specific group. I can give them permissions to, regional specific folders that we've built out, something that they won't have to follow up with an email 6 months down the road asking for permission for. And really, if there's any errors, if they don't get their welcome email, if they forget their password, I can send them a password reset email. So really, I am kind of the first face they meet in terms of getting on board with the library. And then from there, I point them in the direction of our tutorial video that Susie was so nice to record for us back in the day. It lives on our library up at the top. You can see it just above CKE Digital Library. You'll see tutorial video. So they can click that. It's really brief and just kind of walks them through, how to go through the folders, what icon you're going to want to click on to download an asset, kind of just all the basic know-how things that you'll need to know. Some things that might sound really self-explanatory to some people, a video is a priceless tool for them, or people that thought that they knew how to work the library at one point, need a refresher course. And like I said, we're always adding to our team new people. We're always signing on new franchisees. We just signed with Switzerland last week, and we had our first in-person signing since COVID. And one of the first things I did was send our new franchisee a link to the library, pointed them in the direction of the video, and they said, "This is great, this is awesome." And I've gotten no follow-up emails about questions. No, I couldn't figure out how to do this, because they saw the video and they learned. And so that's been really helpful for us, again, in just reducing your admin time and giving people all of the information up front so that they don't have to circle back with questions.
That's awesome. And we may need to re-record that video at some point and update it a little bit. So before we wrap things up, I've got 2 more questions for you. So the first is, what do you have planned for the dam, or sorry, for the library in like this coming year in 2023?
I think that is a really great thing about my quarterly touch bases. I know they were with you at some point, or at one point, then I moved on to Ian, and now Alan. And I had been introduced to the creative templates in the past, but it hadn't been the right time for us. But our team is actually planning on exploring the creative templates for 2023. And what that would mean for us is just giving our franchisees another way to localize the assets we provide to them without them having to outsource a graphic designer. And so it was something that, like I said, had been presented to us in the past, but we had so many other moving parts, we weren't ready to move into adding additional features to the library. But now that we're upwards of 400 users, we know that people are benefiting from the library, we know that they're on it on a consistent basis. We're wondering, how can we take it to the next step? How can we really, really help franchisees? And we know that's a large expense for them. Again, we're a global company. And so when we release a POP kit, or a window cling, or a social media post, it's not one size fits all across the board. They're going to have to tailor it either into their local language, their local pricing, their local currency. They might have to swap out an image where they don't have a certain topping on their burger that another region does. So if there's a way they can do that in the library really quickly and honestly for free for them without having to pay a graphic designer, that's something that we're definitely interested in.
That's awesome. And yeah, I remember going through that with you. Feels like a lifetime ago now, the first time. So it's great to hear that that's kind of coming back up and might be of use. So my last question is, we've got several people on the call today who are either in the process of implementing their system, or they might still be looking at, considering a dam and, do I want it now or do I want it later? So above and beyond all the great advice you've shared already, is there anything else you'd like to share, or even is there anything that you wish someone had told you when we started this project, almost 4 years ago?
Yeah. Like I had mentioned, I didn't have any previous experience with a dam or an asset library before. So I almost feel like I had an advantage in some ways, as I didn't know all the daunting things that could arise or could come. But I don't think that any roadblock that you're going to face is going to outweigh the end result. And I know I've said this a couple of times throughout the call, but it started as a marketing library for us, and it really expanded into a way to serve cross-functional teams within our company and our agency partners. And it's just made a lot of our relationships stronger. It's given us a really good sense of identity on our team. Is like, we know what we're doing. We know how we're structuring our assets. And it's really valuable. We include this in a lot of presentations, especially with leadership. So not to say anything other than it's a real pat on the back once you and your team accomplish such a large project like this. So I would just give a piece of encouragement is the to-do list might seem really, really long, but I think the list of pros at the end of it greatly outweigh that list. So if you're planning your calendar for the year and that there's a time in the year that's a little bit slower, whether it's right after the holidays, at the beginning of the year, or over the summer, where you can really just prioritize doing all the nitty-gritty work to make your library come to life, I would encourage you to do it, because it's been an incredible asset for us and for our franchisee network. So just encouragement. That's all I would really say.
I love it. We're going to take that clip and put it at the beginning of all of our kickoff decks now. Just play little words of encouragement from Presley. Well, Presley, it's been a pleasure to chat with you and a pleasure to work with you all this my whole life cycle at Intelligence Bank so far. So thank you so much for sharing your experience and wisdom with those who have joined. And with that, we'll wrap up this section. And I will introduce our panel that is coming up next with Eric. So on our panel, we have Gabby Murrow from Gerber. She is Gerber's brand marketing manager and has nearly a decade of marketing experience, having worked in both the B2C and B2B spaces. As part of the Gerber team for over 3 years, she ensures brand integrity by guiding efforts across all sales channels and functions, both inside and outside the company, to support overall business objectives while adequately targeting specific audiences with consistent strategic messaging. Also joining us is James Rosales from Wondros. He has over 12 years of experience designing, optimizing, and managing digital frameworks and platforms to produce successful positioning in today's digital economy. Previous clients of his include AT&T, Lionsgate, Sonim Tech, and Qualcomm's IoT division. He's currently been at Wondros for a little over 5 years, leading their technology departments. And lastly, we have John Horodisky, who is an executive director with Salt Flats, one of our partners, with executive management strategy experience in information management, including digital asset management, metadata, and taxonomy design, content strategy, analytics, governance, MarTech, and marketing operations. John is a world-leading expert and has provided strategic direction and consulting for a variety of Fortune 10, 50, 100, and 500 clients, from CPG goods to media and entertainment to pharmaceutical and insurance. And with that, I will pass it over to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Susie. So I'll pull down the presentation here. We're just going to have a conversation. So thank you, Gabby, James, and John. Appreciate all of you taking the time to spend with us today. So Gabby, I'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about Gerber, how it's structured, and how the business managed digital assets prior to implementing Intelligence Bank?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to be part of this discussion. I really enjoyed Presley's chat with Susie. I was jotting down ferociously some ideas, so thanks, thanks for that. So I am the brand marketing manager for Gerber Plumbing Fixtures, not the baby food. I'm sorry if you got excited about that, but we make toilets, faucets, bath accessories, bathroom sinks, all that good stuff. So maybe not as exciting, but equally as important as maybe other Gerbers you may have heard of. And Gerber is the North American brand representation of our parent company, which is actually called Globe Union. We're based in Taiwan, and Gerber is mainly in the wholesale space and e-commerce space, but Globe Union also supports the wholesale channel for retail private brand. So we do manufacture private brand products in the wholesale retail space. And so as you can imagine, we have lots of different teams and functions and responsibilities and people looking for different things. And, you know, there's some members of the Gerber team that use the same assets as the Globe Union team, and then not some, depending on the asset, no crossover at all. So it's a pretty complex but never boring little web that we have weaved here. And before implementing Intelligence Bank, we really just had a shared server that you had to be logged into VPN to access. There was no true keeper of those assets, their accuracy, their organization. It was kind of every person for themselves, and they're fending to organize their assets, look for what they need. If you had questions, you kind of just had to rely on like the historical knowledge of the people on your team to guide you in the right direction. So when I joined a little over 3 years ago, I got on board and I was like, oh boy, this is not gonna fly. Someone should do something about this. And then I was like, maybe it's me. Maybe I should be the one to kind of champion an effort to organize things. And if you, especially with the pandemic, and if there was ever VPN outages and you were just out of luck, you couldn't access our assets. So it was, especially with the pandemic, increasingly important to have something cloud-based and more easily accessible and organized.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we definitely hear that from a lot of customers who are coming to a dam for the first time, right? And that the chaos of shared servers and now 5 or 6 different cloud storage services that they use, and bringing all that into one spot. So what has been the biggest benefit so far for Gerber for having a platform like Intelligence Bank?
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know if there's just the biggest benefit. There's several. I think that having that single source of truth and that ownership of the accuracy and the organization falling under the marketing team, we're happy to take on that responsibility. So there is the one team that is responsible for helping and asking questions and keeping that organized. And we've, taken that on with pride and, like to be a resource. Our marketing philosophy internally is we're kind of an internal agency, if you will, and even our internal teams are our customers. So I'm really glad that we were able to take that on for our team members inside the company. And we also have sales representatives that are kind of a dotted line to Gerber, and they work for their respective sales agencies, but they sell Gerber on our behalf. So they're also an audience for our DAM. So I think that allowing them a window into our organization, because they, like I said, they are essentially dotted line employees, allowing them a window in and able to easily access our assets and self-service to get the assets they need has been really important. Previously those outside salespeople had to knock on our door via email and hope that we responded in a timely manner to send them the assets that they needed. And it just was not time efficient. It was a lot of times like they potentially weren't going to the right people. They just had a point of contact into the company. So I think the internal organization, that single source of truth, and then really being able to put our arms around our external sales folks and make sure that they have the access they need has been great. That's
awesome. And I understand you guys recently implemented a PIM, which I understand is quite an undertaking. How did having Intelligence Bank already in place sort of play into your success of that implementation?
Yeah, that was a beast, a beast of a project. It was super complex, but really important and really valuable. We have thousands of SKUs, as you can imagine, and the product information, for the website was living in one place on one spreadsheet, and the information in our ordering system was living in another place, and the information that was being fed into our technical documents was living in another place. So really thankful that our senior leadership recognized that it was time to make that step into the digital space and implement a PIM. And I was really thankful that when the marketing team was tapped on to do our part of that very large cross-functional project of getting our images and our technical documents, so our specification sheets, our installation manuals for our products, making sure that those were available in the PIM. I was very thankful that we had Intelligence Bank implemented. Everything is in there and organized and follows a very precise file naming convention. So when it was time to get those assets into the PIM, we did so via API connection and actually grabbed the public links, the Intelligence Bank public links, and that's what's linked to each product record in our PIM. That way, the DAM is still, maintaining that reputation for the single source of truth. It's accomplishing that goal and supporting the PIM in that way. And then when our internal team members are accessing those documents, they're actually just accessing Intelligence Bank. And then when we syndicate our data to our customers, either to set up their own website or for whatever purpose they need it for, they're getting that documents and those links to those images that we know for sure are the most accurate, current versions of those.
That's awesome. John, I'll pull you in here. Just share us a little bit about Salt Flats and sort of what you guys do for your customers.
Sure thing. First and foremost, thank you for inviting me to be here today. It's great to see so many of the customers contributing in this way. It says a lot about a DAM to have that type of feedback. So well done, Intelligence Bank, for doing this. Salt Flats, what we do, we're part of a digital strategic consulting firm, very focused on consulting. We also have a digital studio and a capital part of our organization, but our team, which is insights and analytics, we're very much about digital transformation, DAM, MAM, metadata, taxonomy, governance, all those great things. We get anything from, I think we're going to transform. What does that mean? How can you help us? Everything from, soup to nuts, the whole thing, to also help us create a metadata schema where, we have data in many places, PIMs, DAMs. We've been hearing today already from Gabby, lots of little places where the data can be. We also do work in just like governance work and sort of helping sort of set up strategic efforts to allow an organization to be enabled, to speak to some of Tessa's words today, brand enablement. It's not easy sometimes. So we sort of run the whole gamut of all those things. And our team is, made up of marketing technologists, people with sort of data background, but we also have the wonderful power of librarians on our team, I being one of them. And librarians bring that sort of metadata taxonomy sort of expertise to which all our customers, CPG, retail, entertainment, farm, insurance, that metadata is kind of important. So we sort of bring that unique skill to our clients.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. So Gabby just shared with us a little bit about her experience of implementing a PIM and leveraging integration capabilities of IntelligenceBank. In your interactions with your clients, what are the best practices that you guys are recommending when it comes to how to orchestrating a world-class MarTech stack?
Well, I mean, I love what Gabby was saying, and the figuring out the damn PIM thing. Our experience has seen over the years is that if you are going to invest the time, the energy around doing a marketing technology stack upheaval, transformation, modernization, whatever the word is, we truly believe that digital asset management is at the core of that effort. So there are many different pieces to play with, and sometimes people are like, PIM, DAM, MRM, MAM, other things that can be integrated. But if you don't have a solid connection and a place to be with the digital asset management system, the MarTech really won't do anything. So start with the DAM first. And always remember that this is a people, process, technology effort. Tech is very important about it, but what about the people? Do we have the right people in place? If it is a modernization effort, has some of the jobs, the workflows, the process changed over the last 5-10 years? So be very considerate of those things. And also when you're looking at this, make sure you have a solid data foundation in which to do the entire thing. Again, digital transformation is a lovely big word, but let's just make sure we take the time to even think about even change management. And, are you really prepared to make the change? Some organizations may not be prepared to go forward with a big technology overhaul. But again, people, process, technology, and having a good data foundation will at least help you start off on a solid footing, as opposed to just saying, we're excited, let's go, don't know how to go there. So, start with data, start talking about it, and be prepared. It does take a while. Set up roadmaps, set up goals. What are we, what's the business case for this? What is the business trying to do? And how can a solid marketing stack support those efforts as you go forward?
Awesome. Thanks, John. Really appreciate that. So James, I'll loop you in here. So thanks for being with us today. Can you share a little bit more about Wondros and what you guys do for your clients?
Yes, of course. And Eric, thank you so much again for the invite to this discussion. It's been a great experience with IntelligenceBank over the past years, and I value the relationship that we've established over the years. So thank you for that. Yeah, we're Wondros. We're based in Los Angeles, and we're a creative agency production company focused on social justice, innovation, public health, arts, and also entertainment. But beyond the brand design creation, our company thrives on building efficient, intuitive user experiences. And a lot of it comes through very well thought out, curated tech solutions. So, since I started working here back in 2017, we were ensuring that clients had all the tools that they needed, all the resources that they needed in order for them to run successful campaigns. So a lot of our focus was the client, and we served the client just with the DAM systems, which I'll share more later on. So we built a tech ecosystem within our company for our clients in an effort to help them bring all of the various things that they had scattered within their agencies or their companies into one centralized solution via our built-in tech stack, and then the integration of off-the-shelf systems like IntelligenceBank.
That's awesome. So I understand that Wondros over the years has used several different DAM solutions.
Mhm.
What were the most important aspects of a DAM that ultimately led you to IntelligenceBank that you struggled with some of the other providers?
Yeah, wow. That was a journey. That was quite an experience. I implemented our first DAM system back in 2017 when I joined Wondros, and went through, I believe, 3 or 4 until I came across IntelligenceBank. And the biggest seller for me, and like the big takeaway, was how intelligently, and by the way, no pun intended here, but how intelligently the infrastructure, like the system's infrastructure, was assembled. So because we had gone through 3-4 experiences with previous DAM systems, my team, we knew exactly what we wanted. We understood the ins and outs of a DAM system. So when we came in with you guys, we're like, well, we know what we want. Don't give me the extra this. I know what's in here. So we came a little almost arrogant in a way, but because we knew it. But little did we know that there was so much that we still needed to learn within what I would say a very robust system would give us. So again, the big takeaway for us was the UI was very clean and customizable, something that the other DAM systems felt very short of. And in addition, the engineering behind the system looked scalable. And that word was and continues to be a key topic within my team and the company: scalability. We needed to scale. We needed to grow. The company was growing. The clients were growing. So as we were constantly evolving and innovating, we needed the same in return. So we needed a system that would grow with us, because we were demanding certain things, and it did exactly that. It was very scalable. And I guess to summarize, I think for us, the biggest key critical aspect was scalability, and customization was huge.
That's great. And I understand that for one of your clients, for the NIH, you guys started utilizing the creative templates functionality that Presley touched on a little bit earlier within IntelligenceBank. How did that benefit your client? How do they use that?
Yeah, man, that's a beautiful solution. We call them dynamic templates, creative templates. We cater to hundreds of partners from various parts of the states, and each group, each state is responsible for creating their own campaigns, their own geographical data, and marketing and catering to their groups of people. So we had hundreds of designs that our teams were creating in-house, and those designs needed to be distributed to hundreds of partners with different ideas. And again, someone said it, one size didn't fit all, and everyone wanted something different. And we thought that one template was going to serve everybody and everyone was going to be happy, but that's not the case. Everyone wants their own unique kind of messaging in there. So we created hundreds of templates, and when we deployed the creative templates, it made it 100 times easier for us to distribute all of the campaigns out. It created a way for each partner to customize their messaging, their brand, but also gave us the control to control specific sections of the brand identity of the national brand of the client or of this particular program, and then everything in between. Clients could go ahead and do whatever they wanted. And as a result, it reduced the back and forth with in-house designers that we had. Partners, at one point kept asking us to redesign, come do this, do that. And it was just a lot. So it reduced that significantly. It also expedited the distribution process on their end. Some of these folks wanted to download a PDF, send it to the printer, and boom, you're out the door, you're running a campaign. The creative templates allowed us to give them that freedom, that flexibility to do exactly that. And right now we're running hundreds of templates within the system. And a big milestone, I would say, and even an accomplishment was the fact that IntelligenceBank allowed us to have an unlimited amount of templates running. And in addition to that, we had over 800, 900 logo variations for this different partners. And each variation needed to be permissioned specifically to certain templates. Other DAM systems did not, allowed us to put anything over 100 variations of logos. Now we're running, over 800 different types of logos within the system. So that was a huge win for us.
That's great. Yeah. And it's wondrous. You guys have now been with IntelligenceBank for about 2.5 years, and coming into the relationship, having already known what you knew and having a good sense of what you needed. How has your, vision sort of differed from your original plan when you came on board over the last 2.5 years?
Yeah, it started as a simple admins upload files, partners download them, but then it got extremely granular. New partners, new campaigns, personalized marketing materials all across the board, geographical data that was coming in. So it started to get very hyper specific on permission settings, on what people need to have access to, login credentials. It was very, very delicate when it came to the access points for these folks, especially with this particular account. At one point, I was wishing that it was more public. That way our lives were 100 times easier. Here's a DAM system. It's public. You can log in, use it. But again, life doesn't go the way we intended sometimes. And it was the opposite. It was so complex. It was all permissions based. And, as a result to that, we turned our DAM system into a heavy permission-based customizable platform, where I think at the beginning, we were just coming in as simple files being uploaded, downloaded, and that's it. So we learned a huge lesson along the way that in the system gave us that, flexibility and that vision for us to build within.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really appreciate you sharing that with us, James.
Yeah.
John, when you're working with your clients, what are those main issues that they're encountering that are struggles at the implementation side of a marketing operations platform?
Yeah, generally what we see is a lot of people start off not really having that sort of data foundation. So we always like to start off with that sort of metadata program to sort of see, what do you have? Where is it? A very good sort of information content assessment, but really starting to look at the metadata right from the beginning, because that involves all the right people and the partners within the process to get together and really start figuring out, as was mentioned earlier, the consistencies. Are we regional? Are we global? Are we using the same words? And if not, why? And maybe we do need to sort of, take a look at those things. So we always like to start off with sort of a metadata sort of assessment to get it going. But then there's a lot of things, many people, many of our clients and people we speak to in the industry, what about those migrations and the integrations and the connections? More now than ever before, our dams are going to be connected to other things. And don't underestimate the time that it takes to do that properly. A lot of people think, oh, just migrate over the weekend, everything will work. Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. Migrations can actually take a lot of effort. And again, if the metadata doesn't follow your assets over, that could be a little bit complex. So definitely integrations and migrations. Also, and I'm very happy to hear, some of the other words being mentioned today by IntelligenceBanks, but we always talk about user experience and user adoption and ensuring that your system has that positive experience. So many times, many people would just go too fast, but we always encourage people to take the time, talk to your users on a regular basis and see what is a positive user experience, whether that's, uploading assets in, the search capabilities, and even just pulling assets down. Maybe it's a workflow situation, where there's maybe 5 or 6 people touching the assets before they go in. So again, positive user experience and adoption, that will serve you very well. Now, going forward, definitely the ability to take the time and do sort of regular, quality analysis and statistics to sort of see how are we doing is very important to increase that adoption. And then I guess my final thing would be, we always encourage people to start the governance early. My experience in doing digital asset management has been those systems who are governed are far more successful than those who do not. So start immediately. I know a lot of people go, oh, but what do you mean governance? Who? Oh, you know who. I'm sure you can find 10 to 12 people very quickly within your department and other departments who can get together, who will be vociferous, who will be advocates for you. So start early. Don't ever think that let's do it all and then push the button and go, okay, let's start governance. Do it right from the beginning and start talking about, because governance is good. It introduces accountability right from the beginning. How do I make a change? Who's making the change? How do I communicate the change? So we always like to say, start with governance in your metadata and you'll have a good damn journey going forward. Pun intended, yes.
That's awesome. So Gabby, you touched a little bit earlier just on the large volume of assets. So, in your experience, what were the keys to the success in terms of having that large volume of assets and making that available to your business to use?
Yeah. When John was saying, make sure that you're ready to take that journey. I think that that resonated, that hit home. It was a little bit like, ooh, salt in the wound, because I think we're like just struggling along with like our current situation on the shared server that we did try to look at that server, archive there what we didn't want to bring over, and then start a folder structure of how we roughly wanted it to look, when everything did get migrated over to the DAM. But it was thousands and thousands of images and documents and pieces of collateral, and they weren't named, in any concerted manner at all. So at the end of it, there was kind of pressure like, well, we've been working on this prep work for so long, let's just get it in there, and then we can continue to organize it once it's in the platform. And looking back a bit, I do wish that we were a little bit more stern on our original goal of really making sure, like, not putting crap in and getting crap out, to be transparent. But we've made really great progress even over the last year and a half or so, cleaning up things, organizing, cleaning up file names in the platform. And there's some great bulk naming and upload and moving capabilities that Susie has helped us through. So very thankful for that. But I think that just getting, really evaluating all of your assets, your data up front, making sure you are taking what you need and leaving behind what you don't. It's like when you really want to declutter your home, or when you're moving from one place to another, like, don't bring your garbage with you, like, leave that behind, and and have your new home nice, pristine, and organized. So like I said, I think our intentions were good at the start, but as we were spending several months doing that prep, it just felt like, wait, are we being too cautious here? And looking back, I think just traveling down that path and getting ourselves organized up front, I think would have served us well. Again, I think we've rebounded, but taking that time, don't be afraid to take that time up front, because it's an undertaking and it's worth it to get those ducks in a row before you make that leap. And then I think that what James was saying about the customization capability within IntelligenceBank has been really helpful for us. Even just in the last 6 months or so, we've implemented custom filters for our assets. So we have a pretty intense folder structure. We just have so many different product types and different collections and different finishes of those products. So naturally, our folder structure can get a little bit complex. But the custom filters that we've implemented have really helped some pain points that our internal users have communicated to us. Like, oh, well, when I search Hinsdale, which is a toilet collection, I get images and the technical documents and any piece of collateral that word is in. So like, well, I'm really just looking for XYZ asset. So we've implemented filters to help narrow down collections, like product collections in the DAM, and asset types in there as well, and product type filters, kind of similar to how you can filter products on our website. We've started to bring that same filter infrastructure into Intelligence Bank, and we've just done 3 custom filters right now, and definitely have aspirations to do more. But even those small tweaks have helped the user experience. So I think just continuously listening to feedback of the users, because I think if you're so close to it, you think you have it all figured out, and you think you know what's best, and you have this in your mind. But really, when you talk to people using it, especially, as Presley said, maybe the not so technically inclined, that you need to make sure if it's not usable for them, it doesn't matter. Like that's who it matters for. So you need to listen to them and make modifications to really make it, because then it only helps the people managing it, their lives easier too. They're not knocking on your door asking for questions. So I think that the last piece I would say is just always be open to listening to any pain points or ideas, because it will only make it better.
Yeah, I think you're definitely touching on that recurring theme that we have here, right? This is not a project that you just do once and it's set in stone and you walk away from, but it's that ability to keep looking at it, keep evaluating it, and adjusting it and tweaking it so that it evolves with your business is really important.
And Eric,
so James, I'll pose the same question to you. You've got this now very granular, complex platform with a lot of volume.
Yeah.
What's the secret?
Yeah, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and add to what John and Gabby were saying about searchability. It's so important, like, to have a solution or a feature that's capable of searching within like hundreds or thousands of assets, especially in the day and age where everyone just goes to Google and they search. Everything is a search. So everyone expects these systems to act like Google, but with the filters and with just the search capabilities that IB has, it has saved us a ton of time going through like hundreds of assets, and it's very smart when it's like searching for specific assets. So I definitely wanted to add to what both of you guys were saying about search and filters, because I get excited when I see it and when I hear other people talking about it. But yes, going back to the original question, for us, it came down because we work with a lot of these government accounts, and these folks are quite particular and very delicate. So it came down to efficiency, consistency, and security. And there's another one that I'm going to throw in there, which is creative innovation with these things, because while the other ones are pretty standard and security sounds kind of boring, oh my God, the creative innovation part of this allowed us within the asset portal and the DAM system, it allowed us to see things from a different perspective when we were able to be faced with the system itself and how the team had structured the folders, how the brand hub was designed, how customized it was, and how beautiful it looked, and how people were using it. It allowed us to innovate within the company to build more technology that wrapped around IntelligenceBank and how that system worked, because it just made things more intuitive, very easy to follow, which just, turned those light bulbs on for a lot of us, versus us, following the basis of being efficient with this, being consistent, which are great in security, but we also need to innovate. We also need to create on top of that. So again, those 3 things were, I think, key to the success of the marketing side of things for us: efficiency, consistency, security, and creative innovation.
I really like that. That's a great framework. John, you talked about compliance a little bit earlier in one of the earlier questions. Can you expand upon that a little bit more? Like, where does that compliance tie-in come in for your customers?
Absolutely. I just want to respond to James. I just loved what you said. So many times with the search I've seen many people thinking, oh, I thought it was going to be like Google. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you think that? And they're like, oh, I just thought it would be a white screen with a box. I'm like, that's quite an expensive $1 billion tool that you can't buy, but that's good for you. But the argument with search is, what is search based off? It's based off good metadata. So if it's an argument for anyone listening today, go refine and fine tune that metadata, you'll have better search. And when I do see people saying those types of things to me, I'm like, this is better than Google. You've got a DAM with focused assets for you. You're not going to get potentially strange responses. So, you know, this is a good thing. So I just wanted to follow up on that. It was well done.
Awesome.
Compliance. Goodness gracious. We used to think that compliance was like for pharma or med tech or something like that. But no, we see compliance with a lot of our customers in CPG, retail, anyone involved with a photo shoot with a model release. Compliance could be affecting you all the way through the process. So for us, what we always want to come back to is very much, again, sort of, you know, that data foundation, the metadata you're using, but definitely with compliance, we like to sort of treat it as a workflow opportunity. So again, who's involved with it? Again, people, process, technology, data, those 4 components, but where are the opportunities that the compliance is coming in? Is it with images? Is it with sign? Again, who's doing it? Are there opportunities for an organization to optimize the compliance process? And thank goodness we do have something like a DAM at the core of our MarTech to be that central place. We've heard it many times today of that single source of truth where you can say, aha, there's the assets. That's the ad with the German translation for this market, as opposed to that ad with Portuguese for that market. So again, it's very good that compliance is focused around digital asset management because it's where all the stuff is. But again, it's an opportunity for everyone to sort of consider other opportunities for us to take out our workflow, the process and the people to improve that. And again, I'll sort of, you know, repeat myself a little bit here, but it goes back to good governance. Oh, this is where compliance can really shine, is when you have people on a regular basis getting together, different people in the room. You know, it doesn't have to be the same people from the same department, but let's go involve business, legal, rights management, all the type of people who would want to contribute to the discussion of good compliance. And what will save you is that digital asset management system where those assets are safely and securely stored for use in future use. So for those of you participating and listening today, if you haven't thought about compliance lately, you know, maybe you should think about it over the weekend and come back on Monday and say, how are we doing with our compliance, everybody? It's a good thing to consider. So good question.
All right. Appreciate that, John. So Gabby, last question for you. You've been with Intelligence Bank now for a little bit over 2 years. How has the use of the platform helped you guys achieve your marketing operation goals?
I honestly think it just helped us establish a philosophy around marketing operations. Our team was four people when I first started at Gerber, and now we're 13, going to be 14. So our team has exploded. It's awesome. It's really great. I love being a part of a team and that collaboration, and everyone has their specialty, and we all use the platform in different ways. And I think that having the DAM just even as a tool available to us, and allows us to probe our thoughts on like what we need to be successful, what's possible. So I think just having it in an existence and in our, our repertoire of tools helps establish that, like I said, our philosophy around marketing operations, and how we want to, service our teams internally and externally, and what's, like I said, what's possible. And I was jotting down all these ideas, listening to everyone else talk. So I'm really excited to kind of go back to my team and say, well, what about this? What can we try this? How can we improve this? And I think it definitely, I think the number one thing that it's accomplished for us, of course, outside of just keeping ourselves sane and organized, is that kind of letting that spark for continuous improvement, and just being a part of something like this even more so helps just continuously reevaluate how we're doing things. And like you said, not just set it and forget it, look back, and anytime someone has an idea or a pain point, using that as an opportunity to evolve.
That's awesome. Really appreciate you participating today, Gabby, and really
Yeah,
enjoyed
thank you,
working with you and your
everybody.
team. So John, I'll let you sort of wrap it up and bring us home. Can you, I guess, give us a little idea of what you're seeing as far as the future of MarTech and marketing and leveraging technology, and what you're seeing out there in the market?
Absolutely. I mean, as a sort of a concluding sort of statement, I think for everyone participating on the call today, just remind yourselves that digital asset management is not a project, it's a program. A project by definition has a beginning and an end, therefore it's finite. This is not digital asset management, it's a program. Keeps on going, it evolves. I love to hear that word. And when Gabby was speaking about, where it can go. So just be mindful of those things, and that includes budgetary, considerations and people considerations to allow for that dam to grow and evolve. Because guess what? If there's any constant in life, it's change, and change happens all the time. Today might be the last day that Twitter survives. We don't know yet. It might implode or explode or whatever verb you want to use. So change is always with us. But what we see right now, and what are we hearing from our clients? Definitely the keenness to participate in artificial intelligence and or machine learning in some way. I think if you asked the question 5 years ago, Eric, it would have been very like science fiction-y, like, yeah, that's not a thing. But it actually is a real thing that people are participating in now. People are putting it, for their 23, 24 budgetary cycles. But definitely, how can that help our digital asset management? Maybe it's better image recognition. Maybe it's, just even using AI to identify the color in some of our photos to help the process of tagging. And my only consideration for AI and machine learning is make sure you have good data to feed the robots. So better data in, we heard it before, better data and better product coming out. So just be mindful of that. We also see a lot of interest in user-generated content. So for many of the people participating today, we might have brands and products and services where our users might contribute to in terms of social media and other sort of social platforms. My advice would be just make sure you are listening to those. Involve your social media person in your governance council. You want to hear and learn what people are discussing about your brand. It might actually influence the way in which you interact with your customers. It may interact with your marketing campaigns, specifically for different regions. And then my final one would be definitely in the rise of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. We see that a lot right now. And so we should. Times have changed. We need to be more respectful of the languages and the individuals who are our customers and how we're dealing with those things. And certainly for those organizations in a global context as well, all the more reason to be looking at DEIA as we go forward. And it's very encouraging to see a lot of our clients and many other people in the industry from all industries using DEI as a framework to say, how can DAM be a part of that good, respectful, inclusive program going forward? So those are my sort of what the future hold type thing. And again, if that can inspire anyone today to be a little bit different in terms of how they treat their DAM or their metadata going forward, that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you for bringing it home, John. And thank you, Gabby, John, and James for sharing your insights and for your partnership with IntelligenceBank over the years. We really, really appreciate your time today and all the wisdom that you brought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I will share my screen again and we'll touch on the last few things and wrap up for today. So thank you all for staying on with us this long. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. So briefly want to introduce to those of you that haven't yet been introduced to our new product bundles. We have spent some time over the last year and looked at our products and packaging and sort of what the most common packages are and re-architected our product packages. So as you interact with your customer success managers over the next year and get ready for your next renewal, they'll be introducing some of this to you, but we've essentially sort of standardized on 4 core bundles: our DAM Essentials, a DAM Pro, a Brand Hub, and a Marketing Operations. The DAM Essentials is really focused on smaller teams that need a powerful DAM, but without all the extras. The DAM Pro is the full enterprise DAM offering that IntelligenceBank has, with some of our really new powerful proofing and annotation tools and a lot of the out-of-the-box connectors without any additional charge. The Brand Hub portal package includes everything in the DAM Pro, plus our dynamic Brand Hub portal capabilities that Tessa showed you a little bit earlier with one of our customers in Australia. allowing you to really take your static brand guidelines and move those into a dynamic, web portal experience. And then the final package is our marketing operations bundle. This is the full suite platform for Intelligence Bank, includes everything in all the other bundles, plus the marketing operations module, which really enables you to manage your marketing projects, approvals, digital assets, and brand governance across all of your teams. The main advantages of these, there's really three main ones. The first one, as we talked about in that last conversation, that connectors and integrations are becoming more and more important, and Intelligence Bank is 100% on board with that vision of the future. So many of the connectors are now included in that DAM Pro and above package, so that you can allow your teams to easily access the IB Store digital assets when they're within the other applications that they're using. We've also adopted some new backend architecture, moving to AWS S3 this past summer, which has allowed us to lower our storage costs, and we're passing that savings on to our customers. We really want you guys to utilize IB for more than just final assets, that not have storage be your concern or your limitation for getting full value out of all that you can do with an Intelligence Bank. Taking something from idea all the way through proofing and collaboration, and then ultimately landing in your digital asset management platform as a final asset. This architecture also unlocked some other benefits. You should be seeing faster bulk upload speeds. And for anyone that's international user, meaning international from where the rest of your team is, you should also be seeing faster download speeds. If you're interested in learning any more about these before your next renewal discussion, reach out to your customer success manager. They'd be happy to walk you through. The last piece I'll touch on is some of the new features we have coming out. So just a little sneak peek about what our development team has been working on and what you can expect to have access to in 2023. John touched on this a little bit. Asset intelligence and AI is obviously becoming a bigger thing, and Intelligence Bank is also, focusing a lot of our development resources in that area. So you'll be seeing quite a few improvements on this front. Where really our goal here is to make your life easier by getting the AI and automation to do better tagging for you, so that ultimately it's more searchable to your end users. So there'll be better, smarter AI tagging for images. There'll also be a lot on the video side. So if you don't currently use Intelligence Bank for video, again, reach out to your customer success manager. There's a lot of cool things coming out on the video side with AI also that we'd love to share with you. The ability to recognize people in videos, objects, logos. Again, the aim is to make the metadata and the tagging easier, and ultimately making these assets easier for your users to find. We're also going to be doing a large amount of focused redesign on our approvals module. So upgraded user interface, the ability to do some bulk approvals, so you don't have to approve every single one at a time. I know that some of our marketing operations customers that are on the call right now will be excited to hear about that. Brand pages, we talked about that a little bit also. We will be coming out with some enhancements later in 2023 that will allow you to basically self-service edits to some of those brand pages and have more of a widget-based way of developing your customized brand portal pages. Creative templates, another one that James really talked about, all the things that they've done. We're going to be doing some enhancements there as well, and looking at how to take them from where they are now, which is sort of a one-by-one, where you have a template and you can create one version of that asset or one asset out of that, to the ability to design once and publish multiple assets using that one customization. So for example, a new sales employee may join your organization, you enter their details and create an asset with one click of a button for their business cards, their personalized collateral, their email signature, all of that, sort of in one go. And then we're really excited about this for those of you that have taken advantage of our proofing and annotations capabilities that we added about a year ago. We continue to add capabilities to that. We'll be adding private comment threads, so it'll allow you to sort of collaborate with a single colleague on proofing an asset without it clogging the inbox or the comment threads for everybody else, but really becoming that collaboration space. So I know I sped through that, but wanted to try to get close to time as possible. So we're 1 minute over. Thank you guys all for participating today. If any of these new features coming of interest to you, again, reach out to your customer success manager. We're happy to talk to you more about it and show you demos and videos when we're ready. And again, thank you to James, John, Gabby, Presley, Tessa, for sharing your time. Thanks to Susie for all your hard work getting this together, and our marketing team, Kevin, Aaron, and John. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. And for those of you in the US, I hope you guys have a wonderful upcoming Thanksgiving. We appreciate your time.